They were once seen as the absolute future of the British monarchy, a super tight-knit trio that then became this powerhouse quartet. But the story of Prince William, Kate Middleton, and Prince Harry, well, it's a story of a bond that went from being totally unbreakable to bitterly broken. Okay, let's dive into how this whole thing just unraveled. Right. It's the big question that has had royal watchers talking for years. How did a relationship that was built on all that shared history, genuine affection, and a common goal just fracture so dramatically? We're going to trace that entire journey, from that united front to this deep, very public divide. Because before the rift, there was something of a revolution going on. William, Kate, and Harry, they were all on the same page about this one huge idea: to modernize the monarchy, to make it more relatable, more human for a whole new generation. And you could literally see that shift in how they did things. According to a former royal butler, Grant Harold, the difference was just night and day. While the Queen might, maybe, give you a handshake, William, Kate, and Harry brought a completely different energy. They gave out hugs. It was a very deliberate move away from that stiff, formal tradition to a much more personal, touchy-feely style. And this whole shared vision, it was all built on an incredibly strong personal connection. To really get the depth of the fallout, you have to first understand just how high their bond was. And it was never more on display than at William and Kate's wedding. So Harry, as the best man, just nailed it with his speech. It was this perfect mix of funny and heartfelt. Royal author Christopher Anderson wrote that Harry was poking fun at his brother, calling him and Kate the dude and the duchess. It seems like a small thing, right? But it just perfectly captured this relaxed, modern vibe that everyone, the public and the family, absolutely loved. But then, after all the jokes, he went straight for the heart. By bringing up their late mother, Princess Diana, Harry tapped into that deep, shared history of loss and love that really bound the two brothers. Apparently, it had guests just sobbing. It was such a powerful reminder of their unique, profound connection. But you know what really cemented the whole thing? It was what Harry said about Kate. In that same speech, he said he loved her like a sister. And that reportedly left Kate herself wiping away tears. She wasn't just William's wife, you see. She was that crucial third piece of the puzzle, the bridge that connected the two brothers. So, when Meghan Markle comes into the picture, bam! The dream team is complete. The media starts calling them the Fab Four, and for a little while there, it really seemed like this quartet was going to define the monarchy for decades to come. But yeah, that moment of peak optimism, it didn't last long. Behind all the smiling photos and those united public appearances, the foundation of their relationship was starting to seriously crack. So you have this powerful public image of everyone getting along. But behind the palace walls, the private reality was getting way more complicated. What looked like a perfect merger on the outside was starting to show some deep-seated differences in personality and just how they did things. So what was one of the first things to cause friction? Well, according to author Tom Quinn, it really just came down to a clash of styles. Meghan had this really warm, friendly, hug everyone American style, and apparently that just didn't quite land inside the more reserved royal household. William was said to find all the hugging a bit uncomfortable, while Meghan, on the other hand, reportedly found his more buttoned-up personality just baffling. And then these private little disagreements started to leak out into the open, but was totally conflicting stories. The whole incident with the bridesmaid dresses is a perfect example. The first reports claimed Meghan made Kate cry. But then, in her Oprah interview, Meghan said no, the exact opposite happened. And this just shows you how their private fight was turning into this public battle over whose story you believed. So those little cracks we talked about, well, they started to widen, and they became a massive chasm. What started as just clashes in style and some private arguments blew up into this full-blown confrontation that seemed to just sever the bond between these two brothers. For good. All right, so what was the tipping point? According to a bunch of sources, it all came down to how royal staff were allegedly being treated. Concerns are being raised about a toxic environment for aides working for Harry and Meghan, with even allegations of bullying. And look, this wasn't just some rumor or gossip. A senior royal aide, a guy named Jason Knopf, actually put together what one royal author, Robert Lacey, calls a dossier of distress. And he formally presented these complaints from the staff directly to Prince William. So how did William react? Well, reports say he was absolutely explosive. Lacey says he went ballistic. And it wasn't just because he was angry, but because this went against a core rule he grew up with. You treat the staff like their family. He was astonished and horrified, and he acted immediately. And that just kicked off this chain reaction, this really fast series of events that led to the final break. First, a really heated phone call. William confronts Harry, and Harry apparently just flares up, furiously defending Meghan. But then Harry just hangs up on him. So William, he doesn't drop it. He actually goes to find his brother to confront him face to face. At that point, the lines of communication were just shattered. Okay, so that brings us pretty much up to today. After years of public silence and a whole lot of distance, there are some small signs that a path to maybe fixing things, even if it's a really fragile one, might be on the table. Now, there are some recent reports suggesting that during a recent trip to the UK, Prince Harry's team actually requested a private meeting with the family, including William and Kate. It's really the first significant sign we've seen of an attempt to kind of thaw out those icy relations. And this is where the whole story just comes right back around, full circle. An insider source is highlighting what Harry reportedly believes is the key to healing this whole thing. It all comes back to Kate, the woman he once called the sister he never had. The belief is that she's still the bridge between the two brothers. So at the end of all this, we're left with a huge question. After so much public fighting and so much private pain, is there any way that old bond can be rebuilt? And maybe even more importantly, as the monarchy tries to figure out its path forward, how is the legacy of this broken brotherhood going to shape its entire future?